Hey epic people, ZepicZorua here, and I'm going to bring you the next part of my Super Smash Bros. Unity tutorial. And this part is making sure that your GameCube controller can work with your game. And of course you're going to need a GameCube controller, and you're going to need a adapter that will be able to connect to your computer using the I'm borrowing my friend's right now, and I'm using the Mayflash GameCube adapter. Oh man. So I have a new scene in here that will be changed whenever we have Ori done and whenever his animations are done. But I have a box for the ground, and it's in black and white or spectacular kind of like texture, whatever you want to call it. But then I also have a regular cube, which we're not going to be using today because we just don't need it. We're just testing out the buttons and the axes and the triggers and stuff like that. So yeah, but for now I'm just going to go ahead and create a new C# script, and I'm going to call it GameCube, and we'll start off in Visual Studio. Alright, so now that we're in Visual Studios, I'm going to go ahead and just delete this start function or start void, and I'm going to rearrange this to be how I want it to set up and look like. Alright, so now that everything's set up, I'm going to go ahead and just create some public floats. And these public floats are going to be for the GameCube's, not triggers, what are they called? Analog sticks. And you have an X and Y axis for both of them. So we're gonna have four of these public floats out here. We're just gonna name them left analog X, left analog Y, right analog X, and right analog Y. Don't forget to have all of them equal to 0F, and then don't forget your semicolons. After we are done with that, we're just going to save this and we're going to go back into Unity. Okay, so we are actually going to be using the cube in this because we do have to attach the script to something in the scene so that we are able to test the GameCube controller, even if it's just for inputs. But yeah, you can just go ahead and drag the GameCube script onto a cube or something like that in your scene. Alright, next we're going to just go and hit edit. We want to go to project settings, and then we're going to hit input, and in the inputs we're going to have these things called axes, and by default it should have like 18 of these. And what we're going to do is we're going to have our control inputs in here. In here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and select the mouse X or mouse Y one, and I'm going to duplicate it. And I'm going to duplicate it as many times as there is buttons on the GameCube controller. I would do the other ones, but they have a lot of stuff in there and we don't need much in our things, and this one is just probably like the most bland one. So we have on the GameCube controller you have the Y, X, A, B. You have up and down for the C stick. You have 4 different directions for the D-pad. You have 2 axes for the left analog stick. You have the Z button, the L button, and the R button. And after that, after you've duplicated all of them, you're gonna have to name them all too, so you'll be able to get them all in the script when you're trying to reference them. Okay, now I've named them all. That took a minute. That took a minute. Okay, so now in the ones that we've named the left analog stick, left analog Y, X, right analogs Y, X, you're gonna need to make sure they're all, the sensitivity will be 1, the dead will be 0.1, and the last one is, and the gravity is 1, 2. So gravity 1, sensitivity 1, and dead is 0.1 for all of them. For each one, they also give you an option to choose which axes you want to use, and you'll need 8 axes for the analog sticks, and you only need the X, Y, 6, and 3rd axes for each of them. I even have a small picture just to show you which ones would need it, and you can just correspond it with the names that you've made. Alright, back in the code, what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to start on your void update, and you're going to need to put left analog X equals input.get access, parentheses, with I'm sorry, my mind blanked, with quotes, and you need to put the name of what you put in your inputs. So if you named your inputs for your left analog stick left differently, you're gonna need to put that name, but I kept them the names the same. Alright, next you're gonna write if parentheses left analog X is less than 0.1 F parentheses. So if it's less than this value, then it's going to do debug.log left, going left. Then after this, you can just copy this and just change the less than to greater than, and change the going left to going right. And don't forget that for going left, you have to put a negative in front of the 0.1, or else it just won't work. And then for right, you would just put a positive 0.1. And now you can see if I playtest this, if I hold the right on the GameCube controller on the left analog stick, it'll say right, and if I hold left, then it'll hold left, and if I just keep it at the neutral position, it won't say anything at all. Alright, so now back in my code, I'm going to go back to my first line of the update void, and I'm going to copy and paste it 3 more times so I can get the rest of the analog stick axes. Alright, and make sure that your names correspond. So what's in the red should be what's in your input, and yeah. After you've changed those things and you've renamed them, you can just copy both of the if statements, because each axes or the remaining 3 that you've copied and pasted, they both need 2 if statements. So you're going to copy both of these and paste them 3 more times, and then just change the names and change what the debug.log says in them. So for up, if I have it going up, then I'm gonna say going up. If it goes down, going down, of course. And you can just watch which ones I put in or which ones. So if you hold down, it'll say down and everything. I also ended up getting an error message because I forgot to put a semicolon on one of the top lines of the update void, so make sure you don't forget your semicolons at all. And now everything works. Cool. Alright, so now I'm going to do the buttons, and I'm going to write down on the bottom if parentheses input get button down, and I'm going to say parentheses, don't forget the parentheses, a button, and I'm going to write it exactly how I put it in the inputs earlier when I did it earlier. So if input get button down, a button, then put debug.log, a button was pressed, or a was pressed. But if I go into Unity and I try to test play this, if I try to hit the A button while I'm in test play mode, it will not work because we need to specifically put in our input manager that we need to put an input in the positive button. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to go back to our chart or the picture that I have, which I'm going to provide in the description below. And we're going to have to put down the corresponding joystick button for the A button. You need to put it in as lowercase everything and a space between joystick and button and 1 or whatever number that you might be using right then and there. But if I do that and I hit play, then it starts to work. Now back in my script, I would just literally copy that and paste it as many times as I need to, so I can just do all that and be done with it all. Earlier I have forgotten to make some for the D-pad, so I'm just gonna go ahead and add the D-pad ones in here and just change all the positive inputs in there so each of them can correspond with the button, with the image that I provided. And that's all you need to do, and this is about it. Yep, and you're done, and now you have GameCube functionality with your game.